what are the odds that one family has 4 trans kids? And this.
What you are doing is absolutely horrifying. I feel for your kids. They should never be put through something like that.
Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend, where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, corruption of tyrants, and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Came across a little dilemma not too long ago, and it's considering what are the odds that one family has 4 trans kids. Is that nature or is that nurture? Are these kids like genuinely, at least at a mental level, in the wrong body? Or are they influenced to think so? And before we take a look at this, I heard a very interesting podcast recently with Eric Weinstein. He is an amazing thinker. He uses this thing called critical thinking, and his mind is probably 4,000 times more powerful than mine. Eric Weinstein was a guest on the Modern Wisdom podcast with Chris Williamson, and near the end of it, Chris was asking Eric his thoughts on the whole transgender ideology. And Eric had a, intellectual take on it. He said, what we have to do that we're not doing is considered first wave trans and second wave trans. This may not be your belief, not necessarily mine, not necessarily mine, but live in a world for a second where first wave trans are people who are authentically trans, whatever that means. Second wave trans are people who are influenced to be trans, whether it becomes an escape route from their inner insecurities, they feel really crappy about themselves, so they find a way to get external validation and attention and a sense of significance, increase their social credit score kind of thing, and therefore they become trans. And it's probably not a conscious decision, but there's a subconscious breadcrumb trail leading them to become trans, because you look at the statistics, how many trans were there decades ago? Barely any. Compared to now, it is just exponentially bigger. So Eric Weinstein raises the consideration that is certainly not politically correct. What about second wave trans people? People who have become trans because they were influenced to do so. Not that there's any propaganda from society, the media, politics, or within families that would lead them to do so. That would be hateful to think that. But when you look at a family who happens to have 4 trans kids, you have to consider, how are they not just second wave trans kids? One kid becomes, trans because, let's just pretend mom's a little bit woke. And then the other kids are seeing all the attention this kid's getting, and they're like, dude, I want to be like Mike. I want that too. So where's my dress? And on Twitter, Matt Walsh reposted this clip from Libs of TikTok that we'll take a look at. And he says, when the mother decides to make the children trans, the odds they will be trans is exactly 100%. We'll take a look at some comments on this in a moment, but first, here's a little video portraying it. I appreciate the inclusive language. Our son told us he was transgender, and our child told us they don't feel like a boy or a girl. So within 2 sentences, the child was a son, and now the child is no longer a son. Second sentence later, it's just a child. Cool. And apparently, you do a gender transition through a haircut now. It's weird to see mom with a mask on. That is actually pretty surprising. Wouldn't have expected that. And it goes on. I'm going to play this without volume because we don't need it. But as this plays on, keep in mind this is one family who apparently needed to video all this. Not that mom and or dad are out for their social significance by the virtuous currency of having not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 trans kids. Not that that would happen, but as the video plays out, at least for me, I very much lose sight of like, whoa, is that a boy becoming a girl or a girl becoming a boy? Let's just say they're all trying to be the opposite of what they were born as. So now you can see it's been 2 years today and my children are thriving. They are happy and free to be their true selves. Awesome. And then this little watermark thing is on the whole video. Protect trans kids. Something I wholeheartedly agree with. In fact, I think that's a very limited statement. I would say protect kids is a very important statement. And if a kid is trans or says they're trans, I think they too need to be protected from bullying and anything else, including being protected from their own parents at times. And a question we can ask is, the kids in this family, are they unprotected? Do they need to be protected from their parents? I don't know. It's definitely a question worth asking. You ever hear those horror stories of in different African countries, they do genital mutilation on the girls? Yeah, it's absolutely horrific. We need to protect those children from genital mutilation. But not these kids. We need to protect these children by doing that thing. You know, we do the thing that we need to protect these children from. We actually do that thing as a way of protecting these children over here. Because mom says that's protection. Fair enough. Now, before we take a look at the comments, including what Elon had to say about that video, here is a couple of short clips from We're Raising Our Kids with No Gender, My Extraordinary Family. And it is extraordinary. Take a look.
Ari, Gwendolyn, and Brynnifer. They are in a polyamorous relationship, and they all parent Hazel and Sparrow.
Two dads are looking good.
We have a 2-year-old antigender baby.
Antigender. I think an antigen, that's part of the immune system, or what the immune system attacks, isn't it?
And a 10-year-old who is non-binary.
They have chosen not to disclose Sparrow's gender.
We don't know it yet. It's something that Sparrow's going to have to figure out and then tell us.
That's actually fact check false. We don't know the kid's gender. That's something the kid is going to have to figure out. There's actually really easy ways to figure it out, because here you can see on screen at-home gender test kits. They cost all of $79. By the way, any doctor can do this. You can actually figure it out through medicine science in a simple at-home test kit. It's not something that a kid needs to figure out. My taxes are due, but the 2-year-old is going to have to figure out how to do the taxes. You know, there's actually ways that have been invented to figure these things out. And some would say when parents figure out the things they're supposed to, they're able to provide structure and guidance for a child, rather than having a child with an undeveloped brain, you know, a 2-year-old brain, leading the family. You know, protecting and nurturing children is something they shouldn't have to figure out for themselves. That's why there's adults to do that.
But their parenting approach is controversial.
I have literally received death threats. Crazy, crazy lady. I hope karma hits you back and your kids grow up
So that's the lady of the relationship.
to detest you.
That is a very happy genderless family. You might look at that child and say, well, of course that's an anti-gender child, which means they don't have a gender until they decide it. And then once they decide it, then they magically have the gender that they've had all along, but you acknowledge it. That's how magic works, ladies and gentlemen. And magic is better than medicine. And in other news, here's an article from the New York Post a while ago. Parents announce both of their young children are transgender. Now, it even really defies the odds. It's an incredible coincidence to have one family with 2 transgender kids. I mean, you'd think that mom and dad are Hollywood actors for all we know. So then we remind ourselves of the question, are they transgender, or are they what Eric Weinstein would call second wave transgender? They live and act as though they're transgender because they have been influenced to do so. Now, I know we realize you can't influence children to do anything. They are not impressionable beings whatsoever. And scrolling down, the kid's father, Ben, added, "We're going about this because we are listening to our children. There is definitely many times and places where the children need to listen to the parents. rather than, well, we're the parents, we're adults, and we need our children to protect and nurture us and raise us actually with more significance and status. So we're going to be listening to them on this one. Yeah, my kid's teeth rotted out of his mouth, but we were listening to him. He didn't want to go to the dentist, and he never wants to brush his teeth. So we were listening to him. He'll have a good toothless future ahead of him because we listened to him. And then in news that the mainstream never wants you to hear, this is published by the Daily Mail in the UK. Mother admits she regrets letting her son, 4, transition to a girl identity and describes realizing her mistake was like leaving a cult after she had previously spent years being a true believer in transgender ideology. It's probably not like leaving a cult because it is leaving a cult. Back to the comments on the first video. Again, this is from Matt Walsh reposting Lives of TikTok. Matt Walsh, when the mother decides to make the children trans, the odds they will be trans is exactly 100%, to which Elon Musk replied 100. The mother needs to be transitioned into a medical care facility. Potentially. And remember the question I asked from the watermark on that video, protect trans kids? Do we sometimes need to protect them from parents living through them and therefore altering their sense of identity, altering their hormones, surgically altering them? This commenter, Delon Muskrat, how is this not abuse? I think that's a valid question, and I don't know that the answer is that it's not abuse. Culver Drums, utilizing critical thinking. I'm sure one child saw the attention the other was getting and decided to make mother happy, with the rest following suit. Possible. And great minds think alike. Nick says, the kids are only doing it because of the attention the mother gives them. They are being conditioned. Planet of Memes, the odds of the mother having a mental illness, near 100%. That's possible. Another comment, mother. I would not use that word to describe a person who would do that to a child. Sorry. And then ending on this comment, America has gone from this to this. Yikes. We need to protect kids, period. Trans kids, straight kids, crooked kids, short kids, tall kids. We do need to protect kids. And I think this dangerous ideology, amongst many other dangerous ideologies that are trying to infiltrate the minds of young people, are things we really need to protect our kids from. But that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I appreciate you watching this video, my freedom-loving friend. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. But first, here's a special message not brought to you from Bud Light. If you've been watching me for a while, you've heard me talking about the Wellness Company's emergency medical kit. Now, this next product is one that I believe every red-blooded American should have and be taking regularly. Why? Because if you're not thinking something is up at this point, with so many previously healthy people experiencing things like myocarditis, strokes, heart attacks, blood clots, turbo cancers, you're clearly not paying attention. Many experts who aren't bought and paid for believe that spike protein is the culprit. Spike protein is a lingering threat from the you-know-what and the man-made you-know-what. It's linked to all kinds of long-term health issues, and even Pfizer is now admitting that it's a problem. Many freedom and medical freedom-loving people have been looking for the answer. Well, the answer's here: spike support. Whether you used to be a compliant person or you did not comply all along, people have been looking for answers, and thanks to the Wellness Company, there is an answer. You don't have to be helpless anymore. Spike Support is a blend of natural ingredients designed to dissolve and block spike proteins. Reclaim your health by going to twc.health/JPReacts and use code JPReacts at checkout for 15% off. In this fight for truth and medical freedom, you owe it to yourself and your family to take back control of your health. And you can do so at twc.health/JPReacts.